Hello, my beautiful, gorgeous dance baby, and welcome to another episode of More Than Dance. Today, we are going to be talking about the misconception that in order to do something, you need to be fearless. Fearless is just such a funny phrase because who actually is fearless? I know that people appear fearless and they can seem like they are doing things that would require them to take their fear away in order to do that thing. And I'm here to tell you that no one is fearless. They're just really good at bringing fear with them when they go to do something. So to prove this theory, I'm going to share with you one of the scariest times in my life, a time where I've never been so fearful. And when I think about it now, I can still tell you, wow, I was really scared. This is a story about how I elected to get a surgery that was really risky. And to understand the gravity of this story, it's going to be helpful for you to know all of the decisions that were made to try and combat this problem and to resolve this disease. And I'm going to start kind of at the beginning. So for those of you who know me, there was a time in my life that I started to experience some pain in my knee. And like many things that come up in the human body, you're kind of just what's that? It'll go away in 2 weeks, or I'll give it some time. And then if I need to, I'll see a doctor. And the brutal truth of this was I thought that. I was oh, this is just a little problem. It'll go away. I'm a dancer. What I didn't realize was that I was embarking on a gigantic knee journey and was soon to have 4 surgeries, and am still going to be living with this horrible knee disorder it's a joint disorder, but it lives in my knee for probably the rest of my life. Thank God I didn't know the full story then, because I would have literally been oh my God, no. So thank God I got a chance to take it day by day. And the day by day in the beginning was, what is this? The day by day was going to the doctor, and times 8. I went to 8 doctors over the course of a year to get an answer. And that in itself is just a gigantic problem, with our healthcare system. 3 MRIs, but not the right MRI because they needed contrast to see it. 2 rounds of PT that I had to do in order to get the MRI. 8 different doctors of different types of things, like rheumatoid arthritis specialists, orthopedic surgeons, people who specialize in a bunch of different things that it could have been. So fast forward a year later, after not being able to walk and still somehow running my dance studio, I was at this bridal shower, and this woman, her name is Cheryl, she was hey, do you need a doctor? And I was yes, help, any help. She was I just got a knee replacement, blah, blah, blah. You should go see him. Well, thank God she did that. And this is just a little boost to you. If you ever see someone struggling, you feel you can actually help them. Sometimes it's okay. She was a perfect stranger to me. So, sometimes it can feel weird to give someone just a little tip, and sometimes it's not warranted. But I was so open for any answer that gosh, I'm so glad that she had the courage to say that to me. And I saw this doctor and went to Boston because apparently there's no other place in the world that is competent. And he was this is what I predict. You're going to get an MRI. Got me right in. Said, you need this contrast thing, and then see me back next week. It was what he thought it was, and it's a very rare thing. It's called synovial chondromatosis. And we scheduled a surgery for 4 months later, had the surgery over Christmas time because it's easy to heal, when people are on their breaks, and I could close the studio down. And, going into that surgery was oh, cool, we're going to have an answer. And I was so hopeful because, anything would be better than what I was dealing with, which was not walking. I was literally crawling in my classes. I was sitting and teaching my classes from a chair. And that also just brings me so much gratitude to think about, because my clients stuck by me, and they were you know what, I'm still going to go to dance class because I love Chrissy and I love her classes even when she's in a chair. And that just makes me feel just so blessed to have people that were able to just still enjoy what I had to offer, even if it was from a chair. And being so hopeful, you're not really scared. I wasn't scared for this surgery. He was so yeah, I handle this. I got this. And I was just like, okay, cool. It wasn't a risky surgery either. It was like an arthroscopic surgery. And it was like, cool, I'm going to have surgery and like, hopefully this will be better. And I just remember also knowing that like the recurrence rate was like higher than 65%. And just knowing that like this might be part of my routine of like just every couple of years, like maybe getting like a clean out and having a surgery to do that. And so what I didn't realize at the time, and this is me being naive and probably not being educated enough in the world of orthopedic surgery, I didn't realize that the specialty of an arthroscopic surgeon is a completely different specialty to a surgeon who does surgery not arthroscopically. My doctor was like the best arthroscopic surgeon in Boston. Like he does surgeries on figure skaters, like famous figure skaters, famous dancers. Like he's like a dancer doctor. And like that was another thing that was so cool about finding him. And I remember just feeling like, wow, I'm just like in such good hands. Okay, so fast forward to like 2 years from then, I got another one, another clean out. It grew back. We knew that was going to happen, whatever. Still not that scared about it. What I didn't realize was that this disease was growing in the back of my knee this whole entire time. So yeah, like it makes sense. Like when I was recovering, and I would see scars on the front of my knee. Never once did I really see anything on the back of my knee. I didn't have back of the knee surgery. I had arthroscopic surgery in the front of my knee. Like now when I think of it, I'm just like, okay, yeah, like obviously like they didn't operate in the back of my knee. That's why that stuff is still there. But then part of me was like, oh, but he did say he got it all. But I realized now he was saying like, I got it all in the front. And it's just kind of funny to think about because I now realize in order to get to the back of knee, I would have needed a whole different specialty, a whole different doctor, a whole different type of recovery because the surgery on the back of the knee is a very different surgery, a completely different skill set, and one that is quite risky. And it really takes a true specialist to do what they did to the back of my knee. And I know this because there were some situations where my knee got worse and I went to my doctor, the one I was just telling you about, and he was like, you might need to like start seeing this other doctor. And they do surgery. They have specialties in tumors and this and that. So I remember going to this appointment with Josh and like saying like, maybe it's a potential for me to get this like really big surgery in the back of my knee, which would be this like long cut. And it would take like a long time to recover. And I would have to figure out like, how am I going to do my dancing stuff like with that surgery? Like it was just scary. And the doctor was kind of like, his whole vibe was like, don't do it. He was like, it's really risky. It's near the nerve. And also like it's synovial chondromatosis. So it's going to grow back. And it has a high recurrence rate. So my option then was like, do I do this really risky surgery just knowing that it's going to come back? So I decided, no, like I'm not going to. Fast forward like almost 8 months, I'm in a situation where I'm at the studio and all of a sudden like my leg just blows up in size and it's actually horrible. It's maybe like it goes on my list of like the most pain I've experienced. And like I can list 5 things that one of you know which one I'm talking about that happened most recently, but there's a list of like 5 things that have hurt the most. And wow, this was one of them. It's very bad. I was wheelchair bound. Like I think I was in a wheelchair for like 5 days. It was actually horrible. And I remember being like, wow, like this is here. This is with me for life. Everyone has something that they deal with and this is mine. And I just remember being like, okay, I'm going to have to see my doctor again. Let's see if like something has changed, because not that it's just like in the knee, it's that it's in the knee and it's growing because the cells, they just duplicate. And I just remember him saying like, okay, maybe you could see another arthroscopic surgeon and he might be able to get it. Because also he was saying like, ooh, like surgery from the back, like that's intense. You're a dancer. You dance every day. So I then saw 3 other surgeons for them all to say like, I don't do that. Like, nope, I don't want to do that. That's really risky. And then somehow I got led to my current surgeons. I've had 3 now. 3 surgeons, 4 surgeries. One of the surgeons did 2 surgeries. Oh, and she's just so amazing. When you meet someone and you're just like, wow, like you're just so good at your job, huh? Like, I just love that. And like, I can say that now that I've had my surgery with her and it went well. But prior to that, I was like, I don't know you. And it's very tough, I imagine, for a doctor to be able to say like, yo, like I got this. Because they've got malpractice and they can't exactly promise anything. Like if they were your friend, they'd be like, yeah, I got that in the bag. But like for her, it was very professional. It was like, and here are the risks and here's this. But I knew that she wanted to be like, please, like, don't worry. Like, I can do this with my eyes closed, basically, I think is like what she probably wanted to say. I didn't know that though. Like it wasn't said, but like it did come apparent. Like she's like, yeah, I kind of like do this like 100 times a day. So the specialty that she is the surgery that I had. Like she specializes in the exact surgery that I had. So like I was like in the best of the best of the best of hands, which, wow, amazing. I'm so glad I live on this part of the country. And I'm also so glad that like my perseverance, right? We're always talking about perseverance and like not quitting. And this was a moment where I was like, no, like I mean, I even tried to heal this with like crystals. I just remember going to like crystal shops and just asking everyone like, heal my knee, heal my knee. Like I just wanted any possible way. And I just remember Josh like gifting me this beautiful crystal. My YouTube babies are getting a chance to look at this right now. So if you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts and you want to see this, it's right in the video. So this is about like the size of the tumor. Well, we predicted, but I think it was a little bit bigger than this. So because they said it was like the size of a plum about to be the size of a peach. But I just thought it was like just so cool that like Josh found this like really special crystal and he like gave it to me. And it was really short after him finding this that like we did find our answer. So there was just so much persistence in this story too. But really I do want to stay on track about the fact that like this story is about being fearless. So here I am, I'm in the best hands and I'm so scared. I just remember like going into the support group on Facebook like for synovial chondromatosis. And I had written in there before, like, has anyone had a back of the knee surgery and had that go? And people are kind of just like, yeah, I had it. It was really rough, like really long recovery. And also it grew back and I needed another one. And like, that's not encouraging to hear at all. That's discouraging, if anything. Like, okay, well, was it worth it? Doesn't seem it. And like somehow, like, and this was just such a beautiful sign. And I'm going to talk about like certain signs in this story. I wrote about the fact that I might be getting this surgery and that I was nervous. And I just remember one girl just like writing to my post, again, another complete stranger that was like helping me through this journey. And she was like, oh, my doctor. And she named my doctor that I had had a consult with. And she was like, she did the surgery and it went so great. And I was like, oh my gosh. Because like when you're seeing a doctor, you can't actually say like, can I talk to your roster of patients and just be like, yeah, I want to interview them. But this like kind of gave me that option and it was just kind of like really cool. So I remember being like, well, okay, like, so it went really well. And we had like a small conversation, but even like thinking about this right now, I'm like, wow, I must have been really scared because knowing me and my personality, I would have been like, hi, like, can we be best friends? And also tell me more details. And just knowing that I was just like still like keeping it at a distance, like I know that I wasn't ready for it. Like my body was rejecting it. And it was so necessary. And so the reason why I decided to do the surgery was because my doctor told me how hard the surgery would be if it continued to grow, meaning that the tumor would actually, instead of being where it was, it would wrap around my nerve. She was like, basically, it's possible right now to get it out. And basically, if you wait a little bit, it might not be possible. So you got to get this surgery. It was more of you got to get it versus if you want it, you could get it. So that really shifted energy for me because I was like, okay, like here's another like clear cut sign. Like, okay, like people are telling you like you kind of need it now. And that was even more scary, right? Like, okay, wow, I'm going to be confronting this like thing that I've been hopefully trying to avoid, but I'm not going to be able to avoid it anymore. So we scheduled the surgery July 19th, Wednesday. Perfect. It lined up with my DJ schedule. It was just going to be like so great. And I just remember leading up to this surgery, this big surgery, like I was so scared. If I think about how scared I was, I could cry right now because of how scared I was. I remember like going into the shower, crying, getting out of the shower, crying, laying on the floor, crying, sitting down on the couch, crying, going to my parents' house and just bursting out into tears just from fear. It was so scary because my body is everything to me. My body is what allows me to dance. My body allows me to do my absolute favorite thing in the universe. The only thing that makes me as happy as I've ever been. Because dance is everything to me. Dance has always been my whole life. It's a part of my identity. And obviously I was remembering the conversations with the other doctors that were like, yeah, I'm not going to touch that. I'm like, okay, something could go wrong. And what if it does? Like, what am I going to do? Everything revolves around dance. Dance is my identity. It's my happiness. If it could do with dance, it's going to do with dance. Science project, it's about dance. Measuring the torque of a pirouette. That was my physics project in school. Poems about dance. Projects about dance. Shopping for clothes. Can I dance in this? Dance check. Going to different places. Can I dance there? Meeting people. Do you want to dance? Dance is such a gift. And my gift is being able to share this gift with all of my students. So not only is my happy place dance, it's teaching dance so that other people can feel what I feel. And when the fear came in, it's a threat to that. And the reality of this could affect that. And that's why I was so scared, having something that I love so much being taken away from me. I was already used to living with pain every day, not being able to bend my knee past 90 degrees, maybe sometimes not being able to straighten it, climbing stairs, having moments where it's just like, oh, I'm in so much pain, and smiling through it, dancing through it. So the idea that something could be worse than that, whew, I don't have practice with that. I don't want worse than this. And that's what the worst outcome could have been from that surgery. Was worse than where I was at. So we make decisions sometimes. We talk about decisions on sometimes like you've got two hard decisions and both decisions are going to be hard. If I stay here and I don't do anything, it's hard. If I do something, it's going to be impermanently hard, but it's going to lead to a better outcome potentially. And that was the case with this. And I just remember every time I had these like bouts of like being so scared and I would cry and I'd have like these what if moments. It was so real to me. Like now when I think about it, I'm like, oh, you poor little baby. Like you were so scared. And like I didn't even recognize, I knew I was in good hands, but I didn't recognize how great of the hands I was in at that moment because I was still so much living in the other doctors saying like, no, this is scary. This is risky. I don't want to do this. Like, I think it's like, you don't need to do this at this time. I would wait. That's going to be tough for you. That like infiltrated my head. And that's what I was left with. And I still had that random girl in the Snowville chondromatosis support group. And I had my doctor. I was still questioning this surgery. I really was like, and it was getting closer to the date. And, you know, one of my favorite weeks in the year is the week of 4th of July. And I think I love it so much because my parents love it so much. And like going home, and I just remember just having such a hard time that week being happy because I was scared. And I'm like, okay, like everything is still lining up and I'm doing the things that I need to do to reaffirm my decision, right? We kind of have this like little checklist where it's like, all right, well, you decided that. And this is why you decided it. Okay, that's right. Okay. I did decide that. And this is what you're going to do if X, Y, and Z. Okay, that's right. That's what I'm going to do. And so you kind of like give yourself this pep talk of like, okay, and remember, don't forget, she told you that like this would be the time to do it. So you can do it. Like, oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. And then, oh, don't forget about the girl in the support group. Like she said she had a great, okay, good. Oh, don't forget about that time that you were in a wheelchair and that was really horrible and you got through that. Okay, that's right. And then you think about like the signs in the universe. Well, the day before the surgery, 5:00 p.m. and change, I get an email telling me my surgery has been canceled. If that is not a sign from Jesus, the Lord and Savior, to not get this surgery, just kidding. Like sign from the universe, sign from anything to not get this surgery. Like that's what that was for me. It was, wow, the universe saved me. Oh my gosh, don't get the surgery. Like you're fine. Cancel it, never reschedule it. Good. I was like, okay, well, no surgery. Also, I was like really pissed because I like rearranged my whole schedule and Josh's schedule and my parents' schedule. Like it was just such a moment of expectations and like when something doesn't meet your expectations and how you can adjust and how you can pivot. And wow, that was hard. And all my dancers that night, I was like, guys, we're having class tomorrow. No surgery. Get ready. And they were all like, oh gosh. And they all showed up. It was actually quite beautiful. I'll never forget that choreography either because I definitely wasn't prepped for choreo. I did not have a song, but like the way that everyone showed up and I just felt like I got to like put everything on the dance floor. Again, my life being dance. So fast forward where now I had this whole option to back out. I could just be like, yeah, no, I'm not going to get it. So I had to almost make this decision again to be fearless, even though I don't really believe in being fearless because I wasn't fearless. But for the sake of the story, right, I had to get myself to the place of being able to sign up for surgery again. So fast forward to November, the countdown begins again. The meltdowns begin again. The crying for no reason, but no, crying for a very real reason that I was petrified of this surgery and potentially like what my life would be like if something went wrong. And obviously, yes, trying to lean into the trust, trying to lean into like whatever's meant to be, right? Like my green area, like all of that, like, and I went through with the surgery. And like, I mean, even right now, this is my knee and I'm adjusting because like it still hurts. So like, yes, I'm better, but it's still something that I live with. So reschedule the surgery and go through with it. And the outcome is beautiful, more than beautiful. Like they got a lot of it. There's still a little bit of disease in there. She like even has me on a schedule to like get MRIs every 6 months, which I'm just so grateful, obviously, to be in such good hands and someone who takes this just as seriously as I do. And yes, it still hurts. Like it's very painful. And it's not perfect. And it's also better. Not better than perfect, because perfect doesn't exist, but it's better than it was before the surgery. And so with this story, I think you can see like how much fear I had going into something that ultimately made my life better. And this is why I don't think you're ever fearless when you're doing something. So when you're thinking about that thing that you really want and you feel scared, you feel the fear in your body, and maybe you do what I did, which was to just cry. One, it's so beautiful to feel that feeling. And then two, to recognize that when you're comparing and maybe looking towards other people that you deem as fearless, no, they're not fearless. I don't think there's such thing as being fearless. What they are, though, is really good at taking fear with them. It's like, get ready to leave the house and you're like, oh yeah, like, let me get my bag, I'll get my keys, and hold on, oh, can't forget my fear. Let me bring that with me. We need it. Fear is what affirms us of what we really want. In other words, if we're scared of it, if we're fearful of it, we get to say, excuse me, yes, I recognize that you're here and I also still want this outcome. So it allows us to step up to the plate a little bit harder, a little bit better, a little bit more confident. It tells us to lean on other things. I mean, I had to lean on trust. I had to lean on that I would figure it out, worst case scenario. I got to lean on the trust of my surgeon and her skills. Because if we don't allow fear to come with us, we're stagnant, we're frozen, we're doing nothing forwards and potentially something backwards because we're not progressing, and humans need to progress. This goes back to that decision, like, do you want to make the hard decision that leaves you where you are? Or do you want to make the hard decision that's going to be so hard for a short time, but so much better for the rest of time? So I got the surgery, and it's kind of funny, because the healing process is quite blurry. And if you know, like surgery wise, and also like you can compare this to like any other like sort of traumatic event, like you just kind of are taking it day by day and you're in survival mode. And so, yeah, it was not easy. Was I overreacting or over dramatizing the fear? Like, no, those were real feelings of mine. Those were real worries. And I learned to navigate through it by taking it with me. You end up with this new sense of self when you're able to do something with fear. You can appreciate yourself and your journey a little bit differently because you can say, wow, you did that. Like I look at videos of myself after that experience. Like, so the actual surgery happened in November. And I look at videos of myself dancing in January and I'm like, girl, you're not even 2 months out and you're dancing in heels. Actually, I mean, to be honest, I was 5 days out and I was trying my heels on. That was a bad idea. But it was just kind of funny that like that was a whole process of it too. It was horrible for sure. But it wasn't anything I couldn't handle. And that's the other big thing is you're going to get in life what you are able to handle. And it's not easy. The fear that you're feeling is your future self telling your present self, like, that's going to be hard. Like, you sure? And I knew it was going to be hard. And so in a sense, I had myself like set up, like I was set up for the hard. It was very hard. I mean, even the PT was hard. I had 2 surgeries at the same time, the front surgery and the back surgery. And the PT had to be so specified because what they would normally do to heal the front of the knee, I couldn't do because of the back of the knee. And then what they would have me do for the back of the knee, they couldn't do for the front of the knee. So it was just like that in itself was hard. And the persistence that goes hand in hand with taking your fear with you is just as important as the ability to take fear with you. So we always talk about skills within skills, the skill of knowing, oh, hey, I got to take my fear with me. Hold on, let me grab it. And also, oh, don't forget your persistence, because you're going to need your persistence when you bring fear with you. So I wasn't fearless, though it could look like that. I was scared and I was still showing up. I never stopped being scared. I just became strong enough to hold it while I moved. The fear never left. It just got quieter. This idea that we should wait for the fear to go away before we start is a myth. What we get to do is bring it with us. So when you're scared to go and do something brave, like starting a dance class or talking to a group of people, starting a fitness journey, saying hi to someone you think is cute in the bar, standing up for a friend, standing up to a family member. If your idea is, okay, I'll wait till I'm not scared to do that, you're wrong. Getting used to bringing it with you is what's going to get you to do it. Making space for fear is going to be helpful for you, because what's waiting for you could be everything you've ever dreamed of, needed, wanted. All it takes is being able to recognize that fear. Oh, the fear is here. And using that as a guideline to like, oh, if I feel the fear, let me bring it along with me to do this thing. So the next time that you're feeling the fear, don't get rid of it, embrace it, love it, and say thank you. If you like this episode, it would mean the world to me if you gave it a 5-star rating or shared it with a friend. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the dance floor.